Cosmo and Wanda have granted over 1 million wishes to Timmy Turner, and among this, there have been many powerful objects created in the magical world. So this time, we'll take a look at the most powerful objects that exist in the Fairly OddParents show. And some of you may already have an idea of which one is the most powerful of all. Let's start with the least powerful, the Pixie's phone. The Pixies are very boring fairies that only focus on doing business. The curious thing about their phone is that it can serve as a normal fairy wand. But the downside and the worst thing about this phone is that to grant wishes, a lot of paperwork must be done before the wish is approved. And keep in mind that you cannot ask for fun wishes, only boring wishes. So unless you have a wish that greatly helps the Pixies business, you won't be able to use this phone for anything. The body swap device. As the name suggests, this device was used by Timmy to swap bodies with other people. Honestly, I don't see much sense in this device, because why not just wish to swap bodies with someone? Anyway, the only thing that makes it powerful is that if it falls into the hands of someone without fairy godparents, they could use it for evil purposes. Or it could be that, by accident, this object ruins your life, like it did to Timmy Turner when he swapped bodies with Crocker. The Yugo Biman Disguise Simulator. For those wondering why this object is more powerful than the body swap device, the answer is quite simple, friends. This object was created by the Yugo Biman to hide their real bodies and avoid getting into trouble. What's cool about this gadget is that it can make you transform into anything you want just by turning it. So, if you want to transform into someone else's body, you can do it without any physical contact. The only drawback I see compared to the body swap device is that there'll be two identical bodies, which will cause a lot of suspicion. But in general, I see it as much more powerful, since if you want to hide or know what it feels to be a washing machine, you can do it. Timmy's Shrink Suit. As the name implies, this suit allowed Timmy to shrink to a tiny size without any risk. The suit came very well equipped, and even had weapons to fight off the worst microorganisms. It's powerful because you can use it to escape any situation, or even attack your enemy at a microscopic level, just like Timmy did with Vicky. Its drawback is that if you're accidentally stepped on, you will die instantly. The Extra Strength Memory Wiper. One of Jorgen's favorite devices. This gadget is inspired by the memory wiping device we saw in Men in Black. As we saw in the episode where Crocker lost his fairy godparents, this device is used to wipe the memory of humans and make them forget everything related to fairies and the magical world. Just by having this device and using it on anyone, you can become invulnerable to the rules of the magic world. Imagine wishing for thousands of things that put your godparents in front of other humans. You could just pull out this device and use it on anyone who sees them. But I guess it doesn't work much on fairies, since Cosmo kept firing it and only became half crazy. Although not much is known about how it works exactly. That's why we placed it here and not higher on the list. Wando. A machine created by Cosmo to combine things and get something upgraded. You can practically create whatever you can think of, as long as it fits inside the machine, just like when Timmy combined himself with the skateboard. Or you can even create very powerful things that get out of control, like when Crocker turned into a very powerful cheese monster. Timmy had to combine many things to defeat him. The great thing about this machine is that it has no limits. You can wish for wherever you want and put it in the machine. The Emergency Wand. We're getting closer to the most powerful objects in the magical world, and we have to start with this wand, which, as the name suggests, is only for emergencies. Wanda gave it to Timmy because he was gonna be without his fairy godparents for a certain time, and this wand could only be used to grant wishes in emergency situations, as long as those wishes followed the rules of the magical world. The only downside of this emergency wand is that it can only grant 10 wishes, so its power is limited. Crockers Scepter. This scepter can become extremely strong because it captures magical fairies and absorbs their power to do whatever its wielder desires. It can grant wishes that are outside the magical rules. It shoots lightning bolts, gives the power of flight, and many other things we didn't get to see. The only and biggest drawback of this scepter is that it needs the power of fairies. By itself, it cannot do anything. The Dark Power Suit. This suit was given to Timmy Turner by Dark Lazar. It's a peculiar suit because it contains many hidden powers that are described in a manual to know how to use them. It has telekinetic powers, mind control, and unlimited usage that doesn't follow the rules of the magical world. This object could have been much higher on the list, but since it only appeared once in the series, we cannot be sure of the extent of its power. The Time Travel Objects. Throughout the Fairly OddParents, we saw 3 different objects that allow time travel, but all with different qualities. The least powerful of these is the Time Belt. It was only used once by Timmy to go back to the past and then to the present. Not much is known about what other features this object has. One good thing is that if you're in another timeline and this object breaks, you can return to the present without any problems. Then we have the Time Scooter. Unlike the Time Belt, this scooter can be used for transportation. You have to enter a specific date you want to go to travel through time. Lastly, we have the Magic Watch. This watch was used by Timmy to repeat his day and prevent it from being a bad day. This watch is instant and allows you to alter the past without encountering yourself or disrupting the space-time continuum. The good thing about this watch is that it's much more predictable and can be used without causing dimensional problems. The only downside is that you could easily lose it, or someone else could steal it and use it without your permission. Also, you can only use this watch until Cosmo or Wanda get tired. The Voodoo Dolls. These dolls are quite powerful, and I say this because one of the rules of the magical world is that you can't directly hurt someone with magic. But these dolls allow you to break that rule without getting into trouble. With these dolls, you can control what a person does or even what they say. If you know someone who also has fairy godparents, you can wish for things that get them into trouble and make them lose their godparents. Or the dolls could turn against you, like what happened to Timmy Turner, who ended up getting beaten up. The Fairies Wands. The power of these wands is almost limitless. They can grant any wish as long as it doesn't break the rules of the magical world. If these rules didn't exist, a lot of terrible things could happen. But aside from the fact that the power of these wands is limited by the rules, it's important to remember that their power comes from the biggest wand in the magical world. So if for some reason this massive wand were destroyed or failed, none of the fairies would be able to grant wishes or use magic. The Butterfly Net. Up to this point, we've seen that almost all powerful objects come from the magic of the magical world. And what is a fairy's greatest fear? A butterfly net. In fact, it's written in the rules that any fairy or magical being with wings cannot do anything against a butterfly net. They can't use magic or spells to free themselves if they get trapped. Even Jorgen is very afraid of it. Norm's Lamp. When you find this lamp and rob it, the genie named Norm appears, and he can grant you 3 wishes that don't even have to follow the rules of the magical world. You can even wish for more wishes. The only and biggest downside I see with the Norm's wishes is that this character is very tricky, and he'll most likely end up ruining your wishes or making your life a disaster. So if you're very smart and specific with the wishes you make, you could take advantage of Norm's magic and become very powerful. But the problem is that Norm will always be looking for a way to sabotage you and take the power for himself. With a simple distraction or mistake on your part, he'll make your life a living hell. The Magic Controller. This control was used in the episode Channel Chasers. It has the ability to let you enter TV programs and become a part of them. It also grants the user the ability to take weapons or objects from any show. It can be used to transport yourself anywhere within the channel network. Additionally, it has special abilities, such as being used as a laser sword, as we saw Timmy and Vicky use. Definitely a very powerful object. Cosmo Socks. And since we're talking about powerful wishes, we can't forget to mention the juice made with Cosmo Socks. According to the show, these socks are very tasty when mixed with Timmy's lemonade. And on top of that, they could grant wishes to anyone who drank the mixture. These socks could bypass the rules, because as we saw in the video about the rules explained, wishes can only be granted to others if they are approved by Jorgen. But with these socks, anyone can make wishes just by drinking the beverage. The only thing we don't know is whether these wishes have to follow the magical rules or not. It's possible that you could wish for anything without being interrupted by the rulebook. In fact, Cosmo Socks might be the most powerful objects in the Fairly OddParents, but since we don't know their full potential, they're left in second place. Now it's time for a honorable mention, the Parental Battering Ram. Before moving on to the first place, we have to give an honorable mention, the Parental Battering Ram. This object was a running joke throughout the series, and the parents used it to bust down doors and get into the kids' rooms. Honestly, I don't see much power in this object, since it was only used to break doors. You could possibly use it to hurt someone, but it seems like no one in Timmy Turner's world ever thought of that. The Magic Muffin. And the most powerful object, of course, is the Magic Muffin. This muffin is given to all godchildren who complete 1 year with their fairy godparents without exposing them to the world. This muffin can grant you any wish you want without having to follow the magical world's rules. In fact, every bite of the muffin counts as a wish. So if you want, you can take tiny bites and make many wishes to make it last longer. The only downside of this muffin is that it tastes terrible and is only limited. So what about Cosmo Socks versus the Magic Muffin? Why don't Cosmo Socks beat the Magic Muffin? Well, as we can see, this muffin can be eaten up at any moment. Meanwhile, Cosmo wears socks every day, which is like having an unlimited Magic Muffin. And those were the most powerful objects in the Fairly OddParents. Do you know any others?